So welcome to the final part of our event today. And please welcome Lise Pedersen, who's come to us from Copenhagen. She's Chief of Planning for the city of Copenhagen, and will explain to us what makes Copenhagen the capital of architecture 2023.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting us. Living in Copenhagen, I will look at the future. I would look at how is the planning done, the overall planning of Copenhagen, tell you something about that. I will tell you a bit about our sustainability tool and our diversity strategy if we have the time. And actually, our diversity strategy is just in an open hearing, so I don't know if it will be as we think. Well, just to say, Copenhagen, compared to Vienna, we are a third of the inhabitants, and we are about half the area, and somewhere twice the density. That's Copenhagen. We're a small town with a lot of people, very dense. Our main focus in the housing of Copenhagen is that we aim to have 137,000 new homes for about 2050. Of course, that also means a space for schools, daycare centers, culture and leisure, and we want to somehow use the scale of the existing city, but also, of course, build new that in the way that you can see that it is new. The mixed functions, you all talk about it. Actually, I would say, maybe I can't say anything you haven't said already. I mean, we just do it in a slightly different way in Copenhagen. But it's the same subjects that you all do. It's sustainability, it's affordable housing, it's social housing, and so on. It's climate. We talk a lot about the vibrant urban places, the livability and the safety in the town, but also about our heritage, our building heritage, our architecture, and how that can be brought into our new areas. Traffic and parking is always a problem, and the climate, well, we talk a lot about it, but I must say, when I'm an urban planner. Our legislation does not really approve or give us opportunities to do much there, so we have a lot of dialogues about what to do and what to do. So, cloudburst, storm surges is also on the agenda in Copenhagen, and urban nature, as I just said, the biodiversity strategy. And then waste sorting, that is a large project going on in Copenhagen in these next years throughout the city. We have to sort, and there's being placed more than 500 sorting stations in the streets in Copenhagen for the next years. So that's a big thing in Copenhagen. We also talk about Vienna. Our politicians says, well, we want to learn. We want to learn something from Vienna because you do it all right. You do the social housing, a great strategy on housing, and it's very cheap to live in Vienna. We want to do as well. So we try to do it too. So I listen very closely today what to do. But also our Prime Minister, our former housing minister, and our former Lord Mayor talks about how to mix housing is the best for Copenhagen. So, in our municipal plan from 2019, it says that we should provide 60,000 new housing, that is in a period of 12 years, and 15,000 of these should be social housing, and 12,000 should be for youth housing, the students to live in the city. And also that we must ensure that we are creating small housing and a varied range of housing types. So social housing. The municipality has an option to demand 25% in new areas for social housing. And that is the maximum we can. In Copenhagen now in general, we have 20% of all housing is social housing. But in new area, we can demand 25%. So 25% should be used for social housing guarantee. And that means also the municipality provide this guarantee to loans in these building houses. Mixed housing is sought in the social housing, so it's both family housing, small family housing, youth and student housing that could be provided as social housing. So this is from one of the apartments that was social housing. And we have a rule that says that 50% should be under 95 square meters. And that is also to provide cheaper apartments in the city. So the capital for these social housing, that comes 8 to 10% comes from, is lent by the municipality, and 2% is from the rental residence deposit, and the rest is from mortgage loan that should be paid off in 40 years. In the city of Copenhagen, we are getting new inhabitants every year. We used to say it was 10,000 a year, so maybe it's a bit less now, but we are getting bigger and bigger every year, and that is why we have to build so much in all places that we got. So Copenhagen has grown by 135,000 since 2005. And the growth towards 2035 will increase 84,000 more citizens. And then to 2050, maybe even 43,000 more. This is my favorite, the old finger plan from 1947. The main plan instrument for a Copenhagen area, a larger city, not just for the Copenhagen municipality. We are actually in the hand palm. It is made so that you can have the green wedges between the fingers. You have public transport, and you have the development in the fingers, so you don't use so much car traffic towards the city. And on the other slide, you can see what it looks like if it's not so nicely drawn as in the first one. But this is how it looks like 70 years later. We still got the fingers, and well, you can say the hand palm is somewhat bigger. In Copenhagen, our developing areas is the one that's heavy red, and these are the areas that are actually going on with new planning at the moment. I will tell you briefly about the 5. Just say no, yeah, Northern Harbour. Tingbjerg, that's an existing area. The railway area, this one in a green area, and this one, well, also in a green area, very, what can I say? Oh, special. I'll show you later. Very different ways of developing areas. Well, as you all, these are, of course, some of the issues that we do take care of when we do the development and the plans in Copenhagen. And the mixed city is what we all talk about. We want both workplaces and living areas and schools and shops in the same area. We want variation in experiences. We want eye contact. We want multifunctionality. Cities with edges, traffic and bicycles should be easy to go through, and we want to make sure not too many cars are coming around. I think we all work in this way. I will show you then these developing projects, and I will start with the Northern Harbour. Of course, a city by the water. I will continue with Tingbjerg, that is a densification. It's a social area, social housing area that has big problem, major social problems. I will show you the railway station that is both saving and transforming old buildings, as well as densifying. And I will show you Stejlepladsen, that is a steep place, that is a very self-grown place today, and what to do there to continue with the same identity is very hard. So the Northern Harbour in Copenhagen, landfill is what we do when we can't find more plots to build on, and we have done that since the Middle Age. So these red areas that you see on the map is what we do the landfill. And actually we are continuing that in the Northern Harbour. Up here we do more landfill, and we have a major project for down here to close the harbour for the flooding. We will also close this, of course, in the south, but this project up here is a major project. So this is what we have today. We have started on the inner side of the harbour down here. It is already developed, but all this should be developed within the next 40-50 years. 40,000 living there and 40,000 working there, and it's about 3,500,000 square meters altogether. This is from the area where it's already been developed. You can see some of the former silos. This one, and this one was in the harbour area earlier, and is being rebuilt. This one for business, and these two for residential areas. And we have this one is the parking building. In the ground floor you have well, you have of course parking, but you also have a sports facility on the top floor. You have a supermarket and waste sorting in the bottom. All this area is owned by the City and Harbour Company, developing company, which is mostly owned by the City of Copenhagen, but also by the state. It does work, though, like a normal investor, so it has to get the most money out of the place, so they can be very hard to work on, sometimes even harder than the private investor, I must say. But they do as they should be. No offense on that one. In this area, we have some old buildings. Some of them, as silos, could be rebuilt. Here you see that also we just keep maybe some pieces of the history, of the heritage from this area to give more identity and variation in the quarter. And then we are creating attractions. The blue building you see over there is an international school, and most of the facade is made with solar panels. On the other side, over here, it's old warehouses that is now being used for businesses, architecture offices, and so on. And behind that, we have a living area also just by the quay. And the metro is our pride. This new metro station opened, I don't know, 1 or 2 years ago. And actually, this is the latest station. It doesn't continue further out, but it will when the rest of the Northern Harbour should be developed. And this area is very popular. And this is 2 years ago, on a hot summer day, everybody under 35 in Copenhagen went to this place. And of course, that gives some major problems because the ones that are living in the houses is all above 35. But it just shows that we did something good here because obviously people like it very much. We just have to make really a lot of places like that so not so many people come around here. And it is a private place. I mean, it's not the city that comes to dig up the dirt and the waste. So of course that also makes a major problem. And they keep parties at night times and so on. So it's quite hard. In this area, we had a very special way of taking care of the ground floors. As it was the City and Harbour Company who owned it all, they could sell it plot by plot, but they also said that the ground floor we buy back. You build it and we buy it back. And after that, they had one company to take care of all the ground floors to make sure they had the right shops, the right restaurants. It shouldn't be pizzas and shawarmas all over. This should be an area with a variation in shops and services. And they succeeded in that. Now, this is the most expensive place to live in the city, maybe besides the old inner city. So they have enough money to go to the cafes and use the restaurants and so forth. But they also have the money to have a big car and just drive away if they didn't like it. This place really functions in a way like the best thing I think we have seen with new developing areas in Copenhagen. So this is just from one of the cafes. The next project I will tell you about is in Tingbjerg, one of my favorite projects. We had a few years ago, 5 years ago, a government that would take care of all the ghetto areas in Denmark. So they made a plan. They said these areas have major problems, major social problems. And they make some criteria to say what is a ghetto in Denmark. So they looked at the connection to the labor market, how much education you got, what income, and if you are convicted for a crime, or you are an immigrant from a non-Western area. So this place was pointed out. That was a ghetto, and I must say it stigmatized also the area even more than it was before. So now they don't call it ghetto anymore, but a parallel society. I don't know if that's better. It's difficult to say, but. Well, this was pointed out, and there was the municipality, in collaboration with the housing company, should decide what do we do with this area, because you have to go down to 40% social housing, social family housing in this area, and as we see it here, is 98%. So you can tear down, you can sell it, or you can build new. And it's done in every way throughout the country because of this plan. But in this place, they say, we try to build new. We see if we can build so much more that you can go down to 40%. And we are now in planning period trying to see if we can reach that, or in the end, maybe they have to sell some of the housing. And this is what we got. This is a very nice living area from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. It's all in yellow bricks. It's a full community with church, school, daycare, supermarkets, and so on. So you can just live and die there, and it's in the middle of a very green and nice area. So actually, what just happened was that this was a bucket where you put all the people you didn't know what to do with. You just put them there. And a few years ago, there was problems. There was some shooting. I'm not sure somebody died, but there was shooting, and people said, "Well, we don't want to go to Tingbjerg." But actually, it's a very, very nice place. So the plan. We did build a library just a few years ago, very beautiful library and culture house in the middle of the area connected to the school, which should also maybe give some identity and take some people in from the outside of Tingbjerg to come to arrangements in Tingbjerg to see it's not so bad, it's actually quite nice here. So this is the plan. 500 new houses, primary row houses, but also apartments, a new community house, one extra daycare, building out the school, nursery homes are being built. And what you see is that the gray buildings are the existing buildings, and the yellow ones are the new one coming up. So this will change the area very much, I think. And this is what was supposed. This one over here is being built. This was one test house that was being built last year and just opened. They built 10 houses. And there was a waiting list of maybe 1,000 that was interested in knowing more about it. So it's very popular, and I'm sure they will have no problems in selling also the next family housing, row housing in the area. But the other ones are, well, that's just illustrations from the area. In the top, where we have a major noise problem from the motorway that's just outside this gateway, we had to build very high to make sure no noise was coming in. But otherwise, most of the houses is in tree, and then in connection with the old houses, some yellow bricks to make sure that they fit in with this area. So, climate or heritage is also a big issue in Copenhagen. We can't demand in our local plans that they use reused bricks. They can say, or our developers say, well, we want to use reused bricks, and that's very good, but we can't. In the end, maybe they don't. If they don't find it cheap enough or something, they don't do it. So our politicians said we should use wood. But then in Copenhagen also we have big problems with wooden buildings because of our fire departments that says it's very, very dangerous, and well, they haven't really found out what they need. I think they are on the way, but in this area we couldn't have wooden building in 7 stores. This one actually is placed wrong, but just look at it, self-built or co-built. It doesn't fit in here, but just keep it in mind because I will come back to that in a little while. So this is our railway area where we just had a competition and taking in also a lot of people to cooperate with us. It was a competition held by the state that had most of the area, and then a private investor. A very beautiful place with very old and some not so old buildings, but very nice buildings. We want to keep it. It's very green. We want to keep it green, but we also want to make money. Yes, so we fill in a lot of new building as well. So. Just have to check here to see what I didn't say. And this also, of course, should be a mixed area. green sports area, parks is very important, but also the connection. Maybe I should say that the main railway station is maybe 500 meter down this way, and we have a metro line going here, and we have the old Vesterbro north of the area, and we have the harbor down here. So we want to make a connection from the harbor, pass a really heavy traffic road in this area, pass the metro line that goes right through it, going through a new area, public park, and then up here we have a major railway line going as well. So we are in trouble in this way. We have major noise problems, and we don't even know if what we can do, if it works, if we can make it work. But at the moment, in this area, we have temporary homes for students. Maybe they're not deaf, but they live down here. Also, I think they looked a bit like the ones we saw, the temporary buildings you had in Tree, looked just like it, but only in 2 stories. And then we have this, too fast. This area with some very nice old wooden buildings that are being used for restaurants and food and beverage. That is working really, really nice today. So, this is what we are having, old red bricks buildings, and as well, these ones are some old housing for the railway workers. We used to call it Chinatown, because it was yellow, not because they were Chinese, but I don't know. It's over here. Very nice place. And this is what I talked about, the food and beverage area that is working really nice today. So the blue is new buildings and the gray is the existing one that we try to preserve and maybe transform some of them. But that will be a very interesting area in, I don't know, 5-10 years maybe. They will start building some of it. The next project I got here is the Vejlandskvarteret that is placed in the middle of Amagerfællet. It's a very strange place to put in a new developing area, but the history is that it was placed 500 meters to the east, just by the metro station, and we had major protests from citizens all over. So in the end, well, we also had toads and salamanders and orchids, and well, we had it all down there. So no, it wasn't well put. I will agree to that. But the politicians gave up that placement and took this one, and the next one we should also see Stejlepladsen instead. And they had to do that. They couldn't just give it up. It was part of Ørestad that is, what do you say? Well, when they develop the areas, they sell the plots and they get the money to use for the metro line that's already been built. So if they didn't plan new areas and sell this, they would have to pay the metro themselves, and no politicians wanted to do that. So this is why this is in the middle of the green area. No toads, I think, maybe a little. No salamanders, no orchids, a lot of birds, and still a lot of protests. But now they stay strong, the politicians. So I believe this is going to be built. And what's special about this place is that most of the housing is then looking out in the green area, just all around the place. And there's a lot of green going in between these areas. And this is just some illustrations from the competition. how nice this would look. And also they started here saying this will all be wooden buildings and wooden constructions and wood everything. But I'm not sure we're getting there, but I hope so. So this is actually, well, this is also, of course, illustrations from the area, and to see that they want to bring nature within the city and close to the buildings. So Stejlepladsen is this self-grown place. Now you looked on the picture I showed you with the very self-grown living areas. What do you do when that is what you want to connect to? This was also a competition being held, and in this area, well, they had to say, we can't just build as we build everywhere else. We have to make this special. So we want to have the variation, a very much variation in the heights, in the roofs, shapes, in the color, etc. And also, it used to be green. It used to be a steep place for small fishermen to take up their nets and repair. Now we are coming here with all our big buildings and destroying this nice place. What do? Well, we try to connect with the existing area. So this is from the local plan, just to show you how different it will be. This one down here is the self-grown area that it should connect to. But I mean, 2 stories and 5 or 6 or maybe 7 stories here is it's very hard to see. I mean, the scale is completely different. That's for sure. But maybe it will be fun. I mean, we should make different approaches on different sites. That's for sure. Storm surge is a big problem in Copenhagen. We had storm surge or challenge with the water in the inner city a few years ago, several times. And it's now being looked into what to do in this area. Should it be a dam? Should it be locks? Or should it be nature that makes this place more safe to protecting against the water? And as I said, Lynetteholmen is this project up here that is also a major project with major protests in Copenhagen in these days. It's brought to any court it can, and it's, well, people think it came out of the blue, we never heard of it, couldn't we decide what to do, what do we have up here? And at the moment, we just have the possibility to make an island, a landfill up here, but it is supposed to be urban development, but also a very green shore with nature to the outside, and then down here locks to the harbor, inner harbor, as well as locked in down here. And of course, Copenhagen is down to here. So this is what we are taking care of. But of course, we are communicating with our neighbors to make sure that we don't just slip the water into their place. And this is a major project, and I'm very keen to see what it will bring, because it will change the way that the Copenhageners could reach the shore, or maybe if it's not done really properly. So at the moment we are looking into different ways of doing it. Oh yeah, this is Lynetteholmen. At the moment you can just see they are doing the outskirt and putting some landfill in, but it will take some years. I think down to 2028 before this landfill is done. So, also, we do work with our infrastructure. The green one is the Lynetteholmen. And with that, we also work with a tunnel, a motorway tunnel that is going. Actually, this one is just being built at the moment. A tunnel to prevent the cars from out here to go down this way, because that's just one road with 4 lanes, and they can't take all of the Northern Harbour. So we should have a ring motorway and tunnel out here, and also we should have a new metro line going out to. It's not decided yet whether it will be this green metro line. It's not decided yet if we will build a new ring metro, and it's not decided if we should build a tramway to Tingbjerg that was out here, our area out here. But this is some of the goals that we are looking into how to do it. So about sustainability, what do we do? Well, we do what we can. Oh, maybe we don't. But 3 years ago, we made a sustainable tool that we should use as a dialogue tool when we are doing our local plans. And when I say dialogue tool, it means that we cannot do so much within the local plans, but we can talk with the developers about what will you do? Could you do some more? Couldn't you plant more and then be more sustainable? Couldn't you maybe take the DGNB certification? What could you do with your plot? So we have this tool that is divided into, of course, the social, economic, and environmental sections, but also down here, actually it's divided into sections as we work with the local plan, analysis of the place, applications, scope and placement, appearance, and the unbuilt areas, bicycles and car parkings and so on. And then we have, for each subject here, we have one page that says, what can you do? If you want to be good at this one, what do you do? And then you choose. We choose 3 subjects that we want to take into this local plan, and we make the developer choose 3 and ask them to work it into their projects. And we present that also to the politicians when they have to decide whether the local plan should be decided or not. And if anybody wants, they can have, I can send you a link to this plan afterwards. This one I just jumped. This is from our biodiversity strategy. Actually, it says, keep what we got, make it better, and do more. But beside of that, in our strategy, we also work with communications. We want partnerships with private with private projects, and we subsidize private projects. We teach and educate in schools, and we teach and educate also in community centers throughout the city, so that this project should not only be for the municipality areas, but also within the private places. We all have an responsibility to make this work. And as I said, we are just finishing the public hearing, and by Christmas I hope we have a final plan. It also means that we have to work more with our local plans, with our municipality plans, to make it more green. I think our sustainability tool that we have made 3 years ago, it's not, it's old-fashioned already now. We have to do much more. We have to be much more demanding in what way we can, and also we have to make a pressure towards our politicians to make new laws so that we can actually demand more in our local plans. So in Copenhagen, 47% think that Copenhagen is green, and actually our goal is 75%. So I think we have a way to go. And actually this area is greenery in, that was just a roundabout just 5 years ago. And now it's this perfect way to hide yourself with nature within the city. It's a very nice area called St. Kjelds Kvarter that was a climate quarter that also takes care of rainwater and so on. Well, yeah, 24% say they have no green view from their homes, and that is also, we are now looking into how far should you go from your home to meet a green place. And then in Copenhagen we have these green shared courtyards that we are subsidizing if the landowners want to go together and make a new courtyard. We go into it, subsidize it, and make sure that it's very green and nice afterwards. We've done that in very many places in many years. So next year you should come to Copenhagen. And we have been chosen to be the World Architecture in next year, and also we will have this congress for the architects, and a lot of things will be going on. We have a narrative that says Copenhagen in common, and this will address common urban issues as history, nature, everyday life, and how architecture can support this more sustainability future in our cities. And it should be a city for everyone. It should be a city that is embracing diversity and different ways of housing and living. The Copenhagen Common theme will be celebrated with communities and dialogue and quality of life, and throughout the whole year, and it will be creating an awareness of democracy and sustainable urban environment. And we will do that in collaboration with other partners, the City of Copenhagen. We will invite cultural organizations, architects, private businesses, local startup experts, educational institutions, and tourist organizations, and the Copenhageners themselves to join in the program of that year. And then in the summer, we have this congress from the 2nd to 7th of July. We will have the congress for architecture, and the theme there is Sustainable Future, Leave No One Behind. So I do hope you will join us in Copenhagen, and don't hesitate also to contact me if you need special subjects to be shown. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot for this very inspiring presentation. The photos that you showed already convinced me that it makes sense to have Copenhagen as capital of architecture. I believe there are a few questions. Let me raise one. Those landfill projects, do you have any estimation of the ecological footprint of the landfilling itself?
Well, I know it's been taken, it's been seen into now, but of course all way back, I don't know. But there is a report on what is it doing, both in the sea close to where we do the landfill, but also in Øresund and through the harbor. So I don't know it, but there is a report.
Okay, thank you. Questions to Lise?
Yeah, thanks too for your presentation. Copenhagen is that was a great overview about what's happening there, and Copenhagen is a city I really admire for lots of things. But my question goes in the same direction. So today we were talking a lot about sustainability and social housing, and then you're presenting those landfills, which have a huge impact on the natural environment, and also a huge cost. So how does it work together? Building those huge artificial islands, which costs a lot of energy, and then offering affordable housing there because someone has to pay for that, and also like the development you showed with the huge tunnel. We have a huge discussion as well here in Vienna, but this has been a thing for a lot of time in Copenhagen, this tunnel. But this island seems like a huge excuse to put this tunnel there and say it's gonna be good because it's gonna save the city from all the weather. But you had this this image where you said heritage or environment, and these landfill islands seem that are neither of both. So why are you doing this on 2022?
Yeah, well, we do speak with two hats on, of course. One, we want to make a place for people that wants to move to Copenhagen, so we want to build more housing. That's a political thing, you choose that. Here you have to make a dam or something. You have to close the flooding of Copenhagen, the surge. And so you choose this, and you do it economic. I can't say anything else, it's for the economy. We have a lot of dirt coming in from when you build the metro and so on. We don't have anywhere to put it. It's very expensive to get it out of Copenhagen. So you actually, this is where you get it. People pay to get rid of their dirt when you dig up and you have to build. So it's free. And then afterwards you sell it. It's the City and Harbour Development Company that gets the ground. Afterwards they sell it and they use some money for the metro and for the motorway tunnel. I don't know how much they will do. At the moment you have to do the 25% affordable, not affordable, but social housing we call it. But that's all, and the rest they are going to sell. So expensive. I mean, in Nordhavn it's so expensive. So yeah, they got a lot more money than they thought in the beginning, and they're also using that to pay off in the metro lines and so on. But yeah, it's good for developing companies these days.
That would have been my next question. So the 25% is the only obligation that there is for private developers to realize 25% of social housing. Yeah.
We are trying, because this company is owned by Copenhagen, we are trying to get more. I mean, you can always build more if you want to, but in this place we are trying to get more than the 25%, but I'm not sure we're going to win that battle. But you are right. If we talk about sustainability, I can just join in the other ones. Don't build if you want to be sustainable. Don't build new. I mean, use what you got. And but our politicians has also a will that they want to develop the city in a special way. They want to take in more inhabitants, and this is one of the ways that you can do it. Major cost in sustainability.
Further questions to Lise?
Yeah, I wanted to come back to that. Well, thanks for your presentation, and I also I admire Copenhagen, and I think it's rightly so one of the most livable cities. But that's also, you always have the level, you raise it high. So my question would be this sustainability versus heritage question. I didn't quite understand it, because I think it actually supports each other, and anything that has to do with heritage is actually sustainable, and working with the existing is also sustainable. So
No,
I
didn't do it quite well. Well, in Tingbjerg, where you have these yellow brick buildings, the old ones, we had a major discussion about what the new buildings, what should they be like? Should they just be tree? Should they be yellow bricks as they were? How do we make them familiar to the old buildings? And we discussed a lot. Could we use yellow bricks in the new buildings as well? But that is not very sustainable. And then the developer said, well, we will use reused bricks. And that's very nice, but if you don't do that, we can only, in the local plans, we can say you have to use yellow bricks, but we are not allowed to say it should be reused yellow bricks. So we decided to go within the middle. It has to be both yellow bricks, and hope that they will be reused, and then tree. But wood is only on the outside. We can't make demands about the constructions inside. It's not allowed in Denmark. So it's just the facade, actually, in wood, we can say. Maybe inside it's concrete. I don't know.
Thanks a lot. It will be a pleasure to visit you. I hope we manage next year.
Yeah, I hope so.
And thanks.
Thank you.
Applause again. Final remarks. I have been asked frequently whether the presentations of today's event will be shared. I hope so. We will, of course, get back to our speakers today and ask them whether we are allowed to share the presentations, or whether they need to do some adaptations, and then we hopefully can share that. We are also preparing a publication, something like a compilation of the results of our cooperation and dialogue of the last years, where today's event will be included, and that should be ready before the end of the year, and of course shall be in English and shared with everybody. It has to be ready. Which brings me to saying thank you. Thank you for coming and for engaging in today's debate. For the Austrian audience, stay tuned. There is a lot more to come in the IBA presentation year, and make use of the program and enjoy it. We had the pleasure of a guided tour yesterday of Kurt and Amela, and really enjoyed it. This brings me also to thanking Kurt and Amela for the support, and congratulations for everything that you have created here with your team, and for showing us around also tomorrow. Thank you for the team today, also for my colleagues from Urban Innovation Vienna, Victoria, who did not only the coordination but also the troubleshooting, and of course the colleagues from the technical support. And finally, thank you for our partner cities, we very much enjoyed the dialogue of the last years. I hope it will continue, and that's exactly the point where I also hand over to Kurt, because I believe you will say something about that too.
Thank you. I put down some notes. I will not read that out because it's too much. I was very overwhelmed by so many contributions and so many great ideas. It really shows that this process of talking to each other over the last 3 years was really a good process, and the idea of not just talking about Vienna, but when we have an international building exhibition, also talk about some international partners, and from the perspective of Vienna to learn from others. I think that was very clear that we can always do that, and we have so many inputs now that it will take some time to really think about it and see what we can do and implement also in Vienna for the future. Thank you so much for coming, for sharing, for contributing, and I think next year we heard IBA Stuttgart has a festival, or how do you call it? So maybe you should go there. July 2nd to 7th, I heard we should be in Copenhagen. And I hope everybody will be there as well. And somebody said today, what was it? A digital exhibition is not the same as a real one, which is true. But we will also provide this exhibition in a digital form, because when we discussed during the last years, there was sometimes the question, could we transform the exhibition to some other city? And we thought about it and said, we will not do this. It's just too heavy. It's just too much. But we will prepare it in a digital form. So if a city wants to talk about a topic and just take some examples from here, it's very easy to decide which slides you would take or not take. And we will do this in the next weeks and then offer it for everybody. It will be a very simple, low-key way to distribute what we have shown here. So thank you so much. And I think we will, you talked about already what we will do tomorrow. And still today we will do something and have maybe a group photo for the contributing cities and dinner together. Thank you so much. Bye.